nice. Yeah, the evil was super good there. It is certainly true. Pained, alright. Well, it is time. We have his pint size plus our Cabal Shadow Priest, which is kind of nice. I'm not going to bother killing this guy at the moment. I'm just going to play this, heal myself. Like I said, I have pint size plus Cabal. Cabaling this is like pretty mediocre. Painting it's pretty mediocre. I'm not like really wanting to spend any resources on this when I can just kill it with minions in play. He's already used Death, so this guy being a 5/7 is now out of range of Dragonfire Potion, a lot of stuff. We have our Entomb, we're just going to Entomb that. Actually, we could Pint Size Cabal it if we want to. Okay. If he has Dragonfire Potion, he'll definitely cast it. The correct pronunciation is Kipo of Uldaman. It's true. He entombed it right back, so... He didn't have Dragonfire Potion, so I still actually have a pretty impressive board here. Yeah, this doesn't die to Dragonfire Potion. He didn't seem to have it anyway, so it's just kind of a beatdown right now. I do have to keep representing that I have Frost Giant. I wonder if they actually even play Frost Giant with Raza in particular. You get a Frost Giant out there. Alright, there's the Reno. Coin. Kazakus. Alright. He's probably getting a board clear of some kind. Because he's going to 10. So, because of that, probably... What is it? The damage one is 6 damage at the top rank. So I think I don't want to attack with Harrison. I think I want to like eat this guy, attack my face with Harrison, and not commit anything else to the board at the moment. This guy can live through Excavate. The other guys can't live through anything. Maybe we'll get him. But I think that there's very likely to be like a Mass Sheep. Oh. Okay, so he's just killing all my guys. Yeah, 6 to 1, 8 to, or 6 to everything, 8 to 1. Going on the offensive with a 4/5. Oh yeah. There's his Raza. Crystals. There's Kodo Rider. I can death this. Yeah. Let's get Kodoing. Try Reno Dragon is pretty sweet. Yeah, I do think that it's likely that Reno Dragon is better than the Inspire version, but I wanted to play Reno Shadow Priest because lots of people wanted me to play Reno Shadow Priest. It's the Dragonfire. Yep. So it's forced to Dragonfire just my Kodo. Ooh, he has a Shadow Form too. All right. Just gonna say go. Doesn't do anything right now. My opponent's deck looks like it is basically my deck. It's kind of funny. We just played against like multiple Reno Shadow decks in a row. Alright, that guy we can Pain. I think I just Brand Curator. None of these are very good. Bomb Squad's probably the best of them, just as a removal effect. Harvest Golem can just get Cabaled or something. I don't think Bomb Squad. These are so bad. Why can't I just get like a shifting shade? We have no way to like... I guess we just take another bomb squad. Here's his Cabal. I can Potion of Madness this guy and attack him in. I can also just Excavate Potion of Madness is probably my best option here.
3, 2, 1.
I know he has the Sylvanas in his deck that was entombed. So Bomb Squad's good against that. There's my Shadow form. Alright. Let's do this. He's already Reno'd. He's already Kazakus. He's already used his Kazakus card. Okay. Play my Beardo, but his hand is probably full of removal. Like, he's played Dragonfire Potion, but probably has like Excavate, Holy Nova, those sort of things, quite likely. Alright, give me Koldara Drake.
Soon they shall bask in my glory.
These are actually looking kind of like liabilities now. She's taking so much damage. Shadow. Okay. Once. He's already death. He's already entombed. Like almost all just a great card at this point. Play Savants now though. Polymorph off the current here. Okay. Alright. Oh yes. That was great. We got him! It actually came up! The bomb combo. Redox! Thank you very much for the sub. Welcome to the Dragon Army. I appreciate it. There's the Excavate. Okay. Ooh, there's Nexus Champion. Give me a cheap spell so I can keep going with Beardo. Ooh, yes, yes. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Ooh. Keep going, keep going! Give me, like, Inner Fire now. Oh. You ran out. Bingo Bobman! Thank you very much for the 2-month resub. No, we're getting Pint Size plus Shadow Word, okay. Ooh, okay. We got Dragonfire Potion Eviscerate. That's Dragonfire Potion. We'll just Eviscerate him next turn on the arena. We'll Flawless Victory him. Bomb Squad only hits main. You can't Bomb Squad your opponent. Oh, my opponent does have 2 Shadow Forms. Okay. Well. done. We're rich, and you're dead. Yes. That was great. That was so satisfying. I love that game.
A bold plan.
A pity the hero came back. Your enemy
Hello everyone, and welcome to the final review I have for Mean Streets of Gadgetzan. All of the cards have been revealed, and the set is coming out very soon, December 1st, so I just want to jump right in and take a look at remaining cards that we've not yet talked about. So let's just start with neutral cards, and we're going to be going in alphabetical order in each of these sections. So let's just jump right in with Ancient of Blossoms. This is not a super exciting card. I do like the fact that this is a big taunt minion that any class does have access to, but it is hard for me to imagine justifying including this in your deck over something like Bog Creeper that just gets so much more power for the cost. Compare this to Fen Creeper, only a little bit more health. You compare it to Bog Creeper, a significant amount less attack. So not really a particularly impressive defensive minion, really considering that you can get a Twilight Guardian for 2 less mana, but only has 2 less health. So not a card that I expect to really show up in constructed play. Next up we have Blubber Baron. This is a pretty cool card. I think that this is a card that is right on the edge of being a powerful tool for someone looking to play like a Battlecry deck. I tried to make a bunch of Battlecry decks back with Rumbling Elemental and crowd favorites, all that sort of stuff. And there wasn't quite enough there to really justify biasing your deck in that way. This is a card though that you don't need to sort of have in play and then play your Battlecry minions, which was a lot of the problem that I found with the other cards. This is a card that just rewards you for having played Battlecry minions up to this point as long as you use it in your hand. And you can end up getting a very large minion for just 3 mana. Obviously you're gonna have to wait until fairly later stages of the game, which might mean that the minion you're getting is not as impactful, but it is a pretty big payoff if you get there. So this is a card that I'll definitely experiment with. I don't expect it to be good, but I think it is probably on the cusp of getting there. Next up we have Defias Cleaner. This is the kind of hate card that I like to see. It's something that is get rid of the specific effect that you want to deal with. We saw Silence, generally get toned down with the shift to the standard rotation, and I was a big fan of that because I felt like you got to ignore the card text of too many things, just no matter what you're playing, as long as you decide to just throw Ironbeak Owl in your deck. This is a card that, you're like, hey, I'm losing to minions with Death Rattle, so I'm going to play with this thing that helps counter these things with Death Rattle. I do like that it lines up precisely against Savannah Highmane. It silences the Death Rattle, and then it's a 5/7 that matches up just against the 6/5. Doesn't match up quite as well if they end up Houndmastering it after the fact, and you're like, I should have waited until I silenced it. But, I don't think this is going to be a card that really shows up in competitive play. It's tough to justify this kind of thing in your deck without something like sideboarding. So if we do have formats that include ways to modify your deck or different configurations you're allowed to potentially bring to a match, maybe a card like this does show up, but I think it's hard to justify putting into your deck otherwise. Next up we have Gadgetzan Socialite. This is apparently when a voodoo doctor grows up
enough of my temple's power. Return to your war field.
The future is ours.
Force destroy.
They will meet justice.
My magic flows through the temple. Guardian! None is
That got crazy quick, huh?
We must stand as one. Destroy this fort. Our path is Let us capture this mercenary camp. Strategic. Reveal the way. Sacrifice. The future is ours. We should capture this mercenary camp. Shakal Zen. The future is ours.
That was a kill.
This hero must die.
Decent. Enemy slain.
Our path is boldly done.
Oh, look at it crumble.
Our path is clear.
Hey guys, it's Mike here, and welcome to another video I'm going to be bringing you today, in which I'm going to be asking a question about a character not only from Dragon Ball Super, but Dragon Ball Z as well, and that character is Future Trunks. And a question that I'm going to be asking not only impacts Future Trunks, but really much of this franchise as a whole, and that is, was Future Trunks' character ruined by Dragon Ball Super? And what I mean by this is that if we look at Future Trunks' character and we do an analysis of who he is, and then we basically boil it down, what we boil it down to is that Future Trunks' character exists so that he can defend his timeline, and so that he can gain the means to become more powerful to eliminate threats which arrive there, and also in the process go to the past and trying to protect everyone there and prevent what happened from his time to additionally happening there. Now, defending the main timeline was more of the case in Dragon Ball Z, as we did see when he initially arrived during the androids in the Cell Saga, as Trunks not only wanted to prevent that from happening in the present, but also gain the means so that he could defeat the androids in his own future. And then everything kind of bubbled from there with Cell arriving, everyone finding out about that, finding out about the different timelines, so on and so forth. But essentially, it all boiled down to Trunks really wanting to defend his own future. In Dragon Ball Z, at least, we did see Trunks arrive at this conclusion, as he did, in fact, prevent the destruction of the main timeline, you know, by the androids, but additionally, he saved his own future when he did become powerful enough through training with his father so that he could, in fact, defeat the androids in his own time. And due to his own actions and his coming to the present, he was able to also ensure that Goku did not die of his heart virus and would inevitably go on to train with Gohan, who would eventually be able to defeat Perfect Cell and end the terror of the androids in the present forever. And when Trunks in fact did kill the androids and Cell in his timeline, everything seemed to come to a rightful conclusion. Everything was saved in his time, everything was saved in the present, and essentially that was kind of Trunks' happily ever after, it seemed like. That was the end of his story, the end of his arc. Even though it would have been cool to see him come back, it was still pretty much everything he set out to accomplish was accomplished, and all the loose ends were pretty much tied up. Now, of course, more threats came to the present, and people often wondered what exactly was going on in Future Trunks' timeline. Why didn't Majin Buu come when he came to the Earth? You know, so on and so forth. But everything seemed pretty much fine in the Future Trunks timeline, aside from that, until Dragon Ball Super. And as we saw in Dragon Ball Super, Future Trunks, in fact, did face Babidi and Dabura and prevent the coming of Majin Buu in his timeline, although at a great cost, which was the death of the Kaioshin, who was helping him, the Supreme Kai from Universe 7. However, then we saw the coming of Black, and basically this kind of reset everything that Trunks' arc had built up to at that point. Essentially, that Trunks' arc and his story had to continue once again, had to kind of go through that one ring cycle once again. And we saw essentially that Trunks' future, you know, was not safe anymore, and he once again had to go through the similar cycle from the Cell Saga. He had to once again go to the past so that he could gain the means and the strength in order to go back to the future and defeat this threat who had come to his present, and that was pretty much his whole story arc at the time. However, the problem with that is that flash to the end of Dragon Ball Super's Future Trunks arc, we see that Trunks significantly underperformed in this area and rather failed to actually save his people. Now, the entire Future Trunks arc at that point was still following kind of similar motivations to Trunks having in the Dragon Ball Z arc from the Cell Saga, in which we saw that Trunks was trying to gain the means to become more powerful. He was training with his father so that once again he would be able to become powerful enough to defeat this character in his future, and really everything seemed to build up until that point, up until episode 66, which was kind of the climax, although the next episode is pretty much the climax of the arc. In everything in episode 66, everyone else failed except seemingly Future Trunks. And not only did he, use his own power to fight Zamasu, However, he also used the power of all the people of his timeline. All the people came together and they donated their energy in something akin to, say, a Genki Dama, and then Goku and Vegeta gave him their power as well. So even though it was all rushed, even though it wasn't really, as built up as well as it could have been, everything still kind of built until that point, and everything still led to future Trunks seemingly defeating the main villain of the arc, which was really his own villain after all, despite all the things that Black had done to the other alternate versions of Goku and Vegeta and all these other people, with killing future Bulma, for example. It was still future Trunks' villain. However, as we saw with episode 67 and the true climax of the future Trunks arc, every single thing that had built up until that point was essentially wasted and pointless because Zamasu did not in fact die at future Trunks' hands. Vegito didn't defeat him, Goku didn't defeat him, Vegeta did not defeat him. It all came down to Goku hitting a button, basically the easy button, and having this character who probably is omnipotent show up and wipe out everything in an instant, and destroying his entire timeline in the present. Now, of course, before this point, Zamasu did kill everyone on Earth, and that really did come down to also being another issue because, again, Trunks' whole thing was, let's protect the people, and then they all died, So, pretty much every single person that Trunks had protected up until that point, even during the Cell Saga in Dragon Ball Z, that whole arc was pretty much completely undone by the ending of episode 67, in which Zeno just wiped everything out in an instant and Zamasu killed all the living. But something else we have to keep in mind is not only did Zeno kill everything in the existence of the normal universe, so let's just say, all the living physical beings, Zeno also seemingly destroyed everything in the existence in the timeline of the future Trunks, History of Trunks timeline. So, essentially, not only did he destroy Universe 7, but he destroyed every single Universe 1 through 12 and their afterlives. So essentially, all the characters who were in the afterlife, future Gohan, future Goku, future Bulma, who had just died in front of his eyes, everyone is now non-existent because, as we know in Dragon Ball, if you die second time when you're already dead, you're gone forever. So essentially, Zeno not only destroyed future Trunks' timeline, but everyone he ever knew and loved. So them going to this other timeline that they're kind of creating for no reason out of nowhere is entirely pointless because everyone he's going to be spending the rest of eternity with, I guess, is not real versions of the people he knew. They're just alternate versions. They're not the same people. It's not, he's not going to, when he dies, he's not going to go see the real future Gohan. He's just going to see an alternate version. He's never ever going to be reunited with those people. And so essentially he did fail in his mission in his entire character arc. So Dragon Ball Super pretty much undid everything that future Trunks accomplished up until this point in Dragon Ball Z. So it makes me wonder again if that was, basically what they built up future Trunks' character to be. If his entire character was, let me defend my future, let me become, the person who will be strong enough to constantly fight these threats, and then he actually did, but then future, in the current, Dragon Ball Super, they wiped that all away. Does that kind of ruin his character as a whole? Is his character kind of pointless now because no longer does he really have some true timeline, his own timeline to defend? No longer has he had anything that he's truly accomplished because it's all just been wiped away in an instant? Is his character totally ruined as a result because everything he set out to accomplish is completely gone and he has nothing really left to do or accomplish as a character? Sure, he can come back to Dragon Ball Super if they write him into it, and he could be awesome, and he could fight, and he could do this and that, but unless they take the Super Dragon Balls, for instance, the ones that are in the present that should still exist, because Zamasu only destroyed alternate versions of them, and they use those Super Dragon Balls to wish his timeline back with no Zamasu, with all those people back to life, pretty much there is no point to future Trunks' character other than to show up and be a badass. And when there is no purpose to a character, when it's, pretty much completely hollow at that point, then I feel like there is no point to him and he's essentially been ruined. And it's kind of a shame. You know, normally you would say that a follow-up to a series or a sequel never really ruins the original. However, when you think about it, since this is a direct sequel to Dragon Ball Z, and this is the exact same future Trunks, then that does mean that everything he set out to accomplish and everything he did accomplish is now completely ruined because it's the exact same character in the exact same future. Sure, Dragon Ball Z, when you see that arc, is still great. You know, you still see that everything ends happily for Trunks. But now in Dragon Ball Super, you know that everything Trunks just accomplished in the previous series completely pointless and really doesn't add up to much in the end, except for the main timeline, because really when you think about it now, all future Trunks really did was to make it so Goku stuck around so that he could be the main character of the series. And you know, for people whose favorite character is Goku, I'm sure that you're really happy about that, but if every single thing in Dragon Ball Super all boils down to everything has only been about Goku and Goku only matters and everything is just about making him stronger and making him better, then honestly, is it really worth kind of diminishing and making everything else before it essentially pointless in the end, just to build up a character who's already been built up for 30 years and he's already been the main character as it is? But I feel like that's pretty much what Dragon Ball has essentially become at this point, especially Dragon Ball Super. And hopefully we'll be able to see other characters actually built up and accomplish something in the end, rather than building everything up just to have a wacky ending where a floating toddler destroys universes just so he can hang out with himself, because that's really what we needed the ending of the Future Trunks arc to be. But we'll have to wait and see for the next arc and what's really going to happen with this series. So let me know your own thoughts down below if you think that perhaps Future Trunks' character has kind of been ruined by Dragon Ball Super, if his arc even matters anymore since everything he's already worked for no longer exists, or if you're just, I guess, enjoying the ride as it is, because I know some people are still really liking everything that happened in the ending of the last arc. Again, I don't personally really understand how you can enjoy that,